So my name is Kalia Vue. I use she, her pronouns. And I would say I'm second generation. My parents came here to the United States, so I guess according to Webster's dictionary, I'm second generation. So I was wrapping up my dissertation research. I did my dissertation at The Ohio State University. So I was learning about asset-based pedagogy because it really thinks about how we teach without a deficit lens, especially when we work with marginalized communities, people of color. And so I was thinking about that, but my kind of bread and butter is in museums, so informal learning spaces, and how kind of these traditional learning spaces and theories don't pop up in this space. And so when this fellowship popped up, it was an opportunity for me to think about what I've learned and how I can continue learning it and expanding it in ways that I didn't get a chance to do in my dissertation research. In my project, it's thinking about how people connect with their identity, how they're preserving their own cultures and their own stories. And they're doing it in very different ways. One of the person that I spoke to is really involved in Hmong. And we were just talking about just that history in itself, and I just realized how much I still have to learn. I'm just scratching at the surface of some of those things. And so in this project, it's like, if I go back to like Hmong, I have to think about clothing, I have to think about textiles, I have to think about all of these layers. And this first piece is just these conversations about what is it and what does it mean to people versus like what it is like all the way through what it is today. I think a lot of that is just kind of understanding this process of why they are preserving in their own way. And those stories are for me to share out how they're doing it. We often think of the word culture associated with, very strict, very traditional. You could think of a museum, right? Like it collects, it holds these things that define a culture or a community. Museums are a great place to look at, to see how it's being done. But I also think that if we limit ourselves to one way to do it, we can lose a lot. Culture means so much things beyond what we have defined as culture. And how people today living, especially in the United States, are not just taking in their own culture, but they're also absorbing and living in all these other cultures. And so for me, that was kind of a really eye-opening piece for me to think about it as a second gen, to be like, I am not 100% like, where my parents are at, but I'm also not fully assimilated into the Western world here, but I'm taking both of these cultures together. So I feel like we have to look at it as a evolving kind of process. And I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to define how we're preserving our heritage, how we're preserving our culture.